Hey everybody, my name is Brant Phillips. I guess you probably already know that, and I'm excited to be here and share tips for mobile home park investing in 2023. I always like to say, if you are watching one of my presentations about mobile home park investing, you might be a redneck, or you might be really, really smart. So let's get into this. I know I've got a pretty strict timeline I'm going to try to adhere to. So let's just dive into this. Just real quick, my bio, who am I? This is kind of like, why should I listen to you slide? So I've been investing in real estate for over 15 years. Started with a credit card. I was broke, knew nothing about real estate, nothing about business, was able to buy 10 rental properties my first year. And since then I've gone on to just I'm a real estate entrepreneur, just hard charging, love teaching, motivating, educating, inspiring others to do the same. Kind of what I've learned along the way is of how to create wealth, how to create passive income, how to create a life, by your design rather than by corporate's design dictating to you what you need to do. And that's the world I was in. I was, former law enforcement, and then I was in the corporate world, and just said, there's got to be something better out there. And luckily, fortunately, I found real estate. I found some very incredible mentors in my life. And, over the last 15 years, I've done hundreds and hundreds of single family deals. We've done land development deals. We've done commercial deals, you name it. But yeah, so obviously I'm going to be sharing today a little bit about mobile home parks, but I just want to give you a little bit of credibility, if you will, on my background and my experience. And the most important thing that I want to share with you, and this is kind of just go in that vein of like, why should we listen to you, Brant? Is that, there's a little bullet point on there. It says, I have 100% track record of loan performance. Okay. So all the deals that we've done over the years, the hundreds and hundreds of deals, like 95% of those, I've acquired all my properties with private money. And whether it be a short-term fix and flip, rental property, things like that. Now we refinance with banks for long-term debt. But the thing I'm most proud of is that I have 100% track record of loan performance. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that I haven't lost money on deals, because trust me, I've lost money on deals. Real estate's not always sunshine and roses. But I've always honored my commitments, number one, with my lenders, and found a way to make it out of tough deals and tough situations. But number two is that I've really always tried to have a very sustainable business model. Okay. And that kind of ties into what we're going to be talking about here, which is going to be about mobile home parks. But yes, I've written a few books. I've got a lot of content out there. And yes, I do have 5 children. If you count in the picture, I have 5 children. So I'm officing from home now, so we are always on watch for kid invasions during some of my meetings. So hopefully we won't have those today. So all right, so let's get into it. So after doing hundreds of single family deals, I bought a mobile home park. So why did I do that? So the number one reason that I even went down this road was there was beginning to be a lot of changes, obviously, in the single family market. And like I mentioned, that I've built my business with a sustainable business model. Okay. And what that really means is I've focused a majority of my business on affordable housing. Okay. I love affordable housing. I love affordable single family real estate. And why is that? Because I have a lot of options. I can typically quickly fix and flip these properties and make some quick cash. I can hold them as rentals, and they have positive cash flow. I do a lot of owner financing. These are ideal for owner financing because I can basically charge a 10 to 11% interest rate, and my owner finance buyers are happy with that because they may not be able to get traditional financing. So I always like this space of affordable housing. Well, the last few years, the market has just been absolutely saturated. Really, it started 10 years ago, right? And it hasn't stopped. Slowed down here recently, kind of, what I'm thankful for. But over the last 10 years, the market has steadily, there's become more competition, right? There's been less inventory increasingly. So it's been really, really hard. And really, affordable housing as a business model is really, really tough now, because if you look here, the government says housing is affordable if a family spends no more than 30% of their income to live there. Well, whenever, you're investing in the world of $100,000 to $150,000 homes, which is what I've, primarily done over the years, that's easy to find a good market of buyers who that 30% that meets that criteria. But when those $150,000 homes are now $300,000 to $400,000, which is what's happening here, they're no longer affordable. We have a problem, guys, in our market, right? And I've been noticing this for many, many years. So many years ago, I started saying, hey, what else is out there? Because my track record of 100% performance and my goal, not only to keep that track record going, but to be in business 15, 30 years, from now, may be in jeopardy if I don't look and see what I need to do to change and shift and see what other opportunities are out there. So basically, I just began to do some research, starting to look around like what else is out there. And I have a really good friend, a business partner of mine, who started investing in mobile home parks many years ago. And I'll be honest, I made some redneck jokes. I kind of teased him a little bit, and I was like, I'm just not a mobile home park guy, or I'm not a mobile home guy. And so I kind of turned my nose up at it a little bit. But I said, you know what? I started asking questions, just looking into all types of things. I've never been a multifamily guy. I've never been, a big time developer. I've done some small development stuff. I'm like, let me just see what's out there. So I started talking to my buddy first and foremost about one of his deals. I'm like, those numbers sound really good. And personally, I like working with homeowners more so than renters. I have rental property, but I do prefer working with my owner finance people much more so than my rental folks. So I just started doing real estate, and I'll get back to the homeowners in just a minute, because it ties into this as well. So I started just reading, Forbes, different blogs, things like that, and just researching. And I started really liking what I was reading about it what I was learning. And I, read about an article that Forbes put out, and this is very interesting. They're really, doing a lot of comparison of mobile home parks to apartments. And they said, number one, there's a lower cost per unit. Less cost is usually a good thing for real estate investors, right? Number two, lower cost for repairs and maintenance. So operating expenses are much, much lower, obviously, than an apartment, for example. Okay, you're able to spread out your risk, right? If you're focused on a single family deal versus you've got a mobile home park with, say, 10 to 150 lots, you're able to spread out that risk with your renters. Demand is high. Obviously, we've talked about that with the affordable housing crisis. People just need housing that's affordable. So super high demand, less tenant turnover. Many of mobile home park residents will stay there for 10, 20, 30 years. You don't see that very often in apartments. I know it happens rarely. It happens frequently in mobile home parks. I'll explain a little bit about that more as well. You've got more mom and pop owners. What does that mean? It means we're able, as real estate investors, typically to buy those properties at a better price, right? At a more favorable cap rate. There's more deferred maintenance. They've not consistently raised rents. They just haven't managed it professionally. They're mom and pops. That's what they do. And there's a lot less competition. There's just not as many people that are looking to own a mobile home park, either just because they don't know a lot about it. Some people like myself many years ago, just because of the stigma, just wasn't even on the radar. But here's the biggest eye opener that I saw that really intrigued me to this was, number one, we all know Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett owns Clayton Homes, which is the largest manufacturer of mobile homes. And number two, owns 21st Century Mortgage, which is the largest financier of mobile homes. So I was like, maybe something there. But the biggest eye opener of all was Sam Zell. So I knew nothing about Sam Zell and started doing this research. If you've never heard of Sam Zell, he's essentially the Michael Jordan of real estate. He is the GOAT. Okay. You name it, he's done it, and he's done it big, probably bigger than anyone else when it comes to multifamily, commercial, strip centers, shopping malls, land development, subdivision development, you name it, he's done it all. Well, there's a very funny story. I can't really go too much into details because of time, but essentially in the 1980s, I believe the early 80s, one of his companies was acquiring another company. I don't remember the details. It was like a 60 or $70 million acquisition. And one of the holdings on the balance sheet of this company was a mobile home park. So Sam called in one of his guys and said, "Hey, I need you to go down and see what's going on with this mobile home park and figure out how we can get rid of it, after this acquisition takes place." So he sends this guy down. He goes out, checks it out, comes back, and he said, "Sam, you're not going to believe this." And he's like, it's worse than we thought. He's like, "No, I've never seen anything like it. The thing's an ATM machine. It's printing cash with very little, maintenance and operating expenses." He's like, "It's the most genius business model I've ever seen." So Sam Zell, obviously being the guy that he is, kept the mobile home park. Since then, you can see in here in this slide's a little bit dated, but they own something like 144,000 mobile home and RV sites. These are like pads, not parks. I don't know how many parks that equates to, but I've been told it's, I guess, close to 200 properties is what I've been told, either RV parks or mobile home parks over the years. Now, here's the interesting thing. Okay. Out of all the multifamily that he's owned, commercial properties, skyscrapers, you name it, he sold off generally more than half of those assets over the years, right? Just time the market, whatever reason, he's decided to sell those off. Yet he has never sold a mobile home park, like ever, zero. He's never sold one of them. So I was like, I got to just do this. I'm very type A. And so I'm like, let me just dive into this thing. So, and this was another thing I found. So virtually every state in the US has effectively banned new construction of mobile home parks since the 1970s. Okay. So basically what we have when we look at the mobile home park model is we have a dinosaur. Okay. You have a business, and rather than inventory increasing, which is happening in essentially every other area of real estate, whether it be, multifamily, whether it be storage, whether it be even commercial is still increasing. They're building inventory. Because parks are being closed or mom and pops are just shutting them down, the amount of inventory is actually decreasing, which is a great thing for us when you own that asset. Okay. So what this is basically is it's a blue ocean opportunity, not swimming in the sharks on with the single family and the multifamily. It's a blue ocean opportunity, and there's not a lot of people out there doing it. So there's a lot less competition. Now there is increasing competition in mobile home park investing because the word's starting to get out, but there's a lot less than the other areas of real estate. So let's kind of define what is mobile home park investing. Mobile home park investing 101, basically we own the land. Okay. I want you to think of this as a land play more than anything else. Okay. They own the home. We don't own the homes. We don't really want to own the homes. We do own some homes when we buy parks, things like that, but we offer financing. Okay. This is essentially a land play. But what do? So we provide maintenance on the infrastructure, the utilities, roads, lighting, signage. I'm not going to say that, it's a parking lot, but it in a way it is. Okay. So when you park in a parking lot, what do you expect to have, right? Some lighting, some signage, roads, getting in, getting out, stuff like that. That's what we do. Okay. We're going to have some general common area maintenance. If you've got, if there's a laundry room or if there's a park or whatnot, that you're going to have to take care of that. And then last, certainly not least, we do enforce community rules and laws. So there's some management involved. And I also like to say we help create the community. And that's one of the big things I've learned is that there has been a transition period to kind of change some of the culture, weed out some of the bad folks, bring some good folks in, and really kind of turn the culture of the park. Because a lot of these are The parks that I've bought have needed some substantial repairs, just a lot of deferred maintenance and stuff like that. So we're really trying to create a good positive culture, or not. We're not trying. That's what we're doing, and it's absolutely critical. Okay, so it says here most real estate investors are focused on site-built properties, but the affordability crisis is shining a light on the potential of mobile home parks. I've kind of already touched on that. So let's talk about a little case study. So this is the second property I bought. This is I like to use this one as a case study because it's the easiest to, I think, get the picture of. It's a little smaller park. The first park I bought was 43 lots, and it was kind of a mix of RVs and mobile homes and cabins, things like that. That property is doing great. This one is the second one that I bought, and this was acquired. You can see here, Halloween of 2019. And so I bought it for $100,000. The funny thing was the seller's asking for $150,000. This was a mom and pop. Went and met with them. It's in the East Texas market, by the way. And I was really chomping at the bit. Immediately went under contract, and then I started doing my analysis, and I was looking at it. I was like, you know what? This park's just too small. It was still a good deal. It wasn't that it was a bad deal, but I was like, I really was looking at parks that were more in the 50 plus lot range was my goal. And I put down $5,000 earnest money, met with the mom and pop owners. They were great, wonderful people. Didn't take up too much of their time. About a week later, I decided I wasn't going to move forward with this deal because it's just a little too small. And it's kind of like, is the time, is the squeeze worth the juice? It was kind of where I was at with this. But, so I reached out to the seller and I said, you know what, I'm going to back out of the deal. You can keep my earnest money because I just kind of felt like I misled him a little bit. And I was like, keep my earnest money. It's not a big deal. This is my fault. I kind of rushed into this, and shame on me. I wish you guys the best. And, if you need any help selling it, I'd be glad to help you. And they're like, no, we're selling to you. We've met with some other people. We don't trust anybody. We want to deal with you. And I'm like, I appreciate that, but I'm not interested in buying. So long story short, this kept going on and on. I offered to help them sell their property. I told them they could probably sell it for a lot more. I told them you could probably sell it for $200,000. And they kept coming back saying, what would you pay? We trust you. We want to work with you. We want to be done with this. They were very, very old. Had owned it for about 15 years. And I think that, one of the two had some health issues. The husband had health issues, and I just want to be done. So they kept coming back to me. I'm like, no. Eventually they said, they were lowering their price too. They said, if we sold to you for 100, would you buy it? And I was like, I guess I will. So we ended up buying it. So that kind of highlights some of the mom and pop opportunities that are out there. Not that you're always going to, squeeze them, because I didn't squeeze them at all. They were squeezing me. But there is relationship-based transactions that are done, and they're not like dealing with the Wall Street people and the real estate investor people who are just kind of all about the numbers. Okay. So it was approximately 10 cap at purchased, or 15 lots. Now I did push a couple of people out immediately, so it probably lowered my return for temporarily. But this is a small park. Okay. So what you got to think about small parks is, not some of the advantages of the economies of scale, right? If you've got 100, 200, 300 lots, things like that. But also the management's, your operating cost percentage is going to be a little bit higher depending on a few things. Okay. So what I loved about this park, was this, and the utility infrastructure. And utilities are huge when it comes to investing in mobile homes. Whenever I began doing mobile home park deals and analyzing deals, my wife, one time I got off a call and my wife said, when you talk about mobile home parks, all I hear you talk about are utilities, water and sewer and septic and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, because that's kind of the most important things. And what I loved about this one, number one, that the electricity was already individually metered, meaning the residents were paying for the bills. That's huge. Okay. That's what you want. You don't want to be in an all bills pay park. You don't want to be dealing with sub-metering stuff. Number two, Same thing with the city. The water. The water was provided by the city and it was metered by the city, meaning they were billing the residents directly. You don't want to be in an all bills paid situation. You don't want to be billing for water. You don't want to be in that game. And it was city sewer. Okay. So I have some properties that have septic tanks, not ideal. There's problems, there's all kinds of issues, there's expenses. City sewer is most ideal. So because it checked those 3 boxes, even though it was small, I was willing to entertain it. And it had a little bit of future expansion opportunity. And just by the way, I financed this deal with private capital. Okay, so this is kind of the makeup of the deal. So when it comes to investing in mobile home parks, I don't care if it's 2020, 2023, like we're moving into 2024 in the future, some things that you're always going to look at, obviously, is your cap rate. Obviously, the utilities are going to be huge. And another thing is going to be the market area. So this property is located in Rusk, Texas, very small market, not ideal. And this was also one of the reasons I was almost not going to move forward with it, because my mentor told me not to invest in small rural towns. There's some exceptions to every rule, though. Okay. So you want to be looking for a metro population of about 50,000, ideally even like closer to 100,000. And I really don't have that here. This is a really small metro. But what I did like about it, even though it's a small town, this is the town there. It was right smack dab in the middle of the town almost. So this is basically like the large grocery store. There's a large hardware store. There's bank over here. That's where our residents go pay their rent. There's restaurants. Downtown's not far away. So there was opportunities for employment, and I like that. And so I kind of, like I said, move forward with the deal. Here's a few pictures. Before pictures. Wasn't bad. It was just old. The owner did basically no upgrades on this property. You can see here there was a mobile home that was in the process of being demoed, and from what I was told, had been in the process of being demoed for like 5 years. Okay. There were, there was not a lot of pride of ownership, but it wasn't a war zone. It wasn't, anywhere that you felt unsafe or anything like that. But it was a broken down basketball goal here and stuff like that. So it wasn't horrible, just wasn't great. So what we did, so we came in immediately, went to work on the roads. There was like some, large potholes and stuff when it rained and stuff like that. Cleaned up the fence line. You can see here we added a commercial mailbox, just threw down a bunch of rock and limestone, stuff like that, filled in the holes. We didn't pave the roads or anything like. We just kind of cleaned it up, spent a massive amount of money on tree trimming, and then we started just pressure washing, skirting some homes and things like that. We actually bought 2 homes from residents. They just couldn't afford to fix up their homes. They're in bad condition. They had lived there many, many years. So we renovated a couple of homes that we basically kicked people out of, fixed those up. They moved to those homes. We owner financed it to them, and they're still there now. And then we purchased their home from them, renovated their homes, and then resold those. Okay. So, and when we do that, by the way, so now there's 2 streams of income essentially with a mobile home park. Your 2 main streams. There's others if you get into, like laundry and stuff like that. But the 2 main streams of income, number one is always going to be your lot rent, the rent that every homeowner pays to have their home in your community. And number 2 is owner financing notes. If you are selling the homes with owner financing, now that's an additional income stream on that note, right? And we're typically charged about 10.9% interest on our owner finance notes. So here's just some other pictures of the property. And here is an example of a home. This picture doesn't really do it justice. It was much worse, in much worse shape than it probably looks like, but we completely remodeled that home. This is it after, put all new siding, painted, skirted it, stuff like that, owner financed it. Now there's not a huge capital gain that I've experienced. So I'll just be honest with you. When we sell our mobile homes that we renovate, these older homes, sometimes it's break even, right? So we'll buy a home, renovate it. We may be in it for $25,000, which is my cost. And I'll be honest, like we may sell those homes at 20 to 25, maybe even $30,000. Maybe there's a slight gain, maybe there's not. But what we do is, number one, we're getting the interest on that home, on that loan. And number two, we're getting our lot rent, which is the most important thing. Okay. And typically when you're owner financing homes, you can charge a premium on your lot rent. And I'm not going to get too much in that right now, but a couple of things we did, we added some signage out there, basically established some ground rules, speed limits, abandoned vehicles, putting that we have surveillance up. We've got people watching out in the community. And then also kind of advertising, our owner finance program. We're like, why keep renting? Here's a bigger sign. Why keep renting? Things like that. So just this kind of goes into the helping to establish the culture, the community, and things like that. Okay. Built a website, have some online presence and things like that. And just kind of quickly, I'm gonna get into FAQs. Long story short, our quick numbers at this point in time, I'm close to being into this property a little under 400,000, 375, 383 is what it's showing here. I think it's a little bit less than that. We've just brought our last home in that's getting renovated now. So we're on the verge of being 100% occupied. I think, and this fairly conservative, I think this property is going to be, in the 650 to 750 range eventually when we continue increasing our lot rents. So if I sell this thing at an 8 cap, I'm probably looking at, selling it in the $700,000 range. This is being very conservative. I think our lot rents are going to be a lot higher. And that's one thing that I haven't touched down on about the opportunity here is you have to understand that the mobile home park lot rent in America is incredibly suppressed, meaning is not kept up with inflation, is not kept up with the cost of housing. For example, when mobile home parks first came into existence, if you adjust for inflation, the average lot rent going back to the 50s was about $500 a month. The average lot in America now is about $350. If you adjust for inflation now, lot rents in America should be in the $700 to $800 range. So what does that mean? It means there's a lot of opportunities for growth here. All right, so let me go over a few Q&A questions. I've got to wrap this thing up. But number one, can I use a self-directed IRA to invest in mobile home parks? Absolutely. You have to decide if you want to own that asset in your IRA. And there's obviously some red tape there with management and things like that, and some IRA requirements, or you can use your self-directed IRA to invest in with another investor into their mobile home park, or there's obviously REITs and funds like that. Out of close to the $50 million that we've raised over the years, I want to say about 60% of our capital has come from IRA money. So absolutely you can. Number two, what is the best way to locate a good mobile home park deal in a challenging market? It is really hard. You just got to work with a lot of brokers, a lot of wholesalers, and perhaps even do some real marketing. What's the best way to finance a mobile home park? Private money for me is number one. That's my entrance strategy, is that we use private money, and then we refinance with long-term financing with banks. It's a little bit more difficult than, say, with a single family or multifamily, but those banks lending on mobile home parks all are out there. How will interest rates affect investing in mobile home parks this year? It's going to affect everybody, but like I said, our markets are our market rents are incredibly low. So there's still an opportunity to raise rents. And we are in that best position to do that, because even by raising our lot rents, we're still so much more affordable that housing option than apartments or homes who may be hurt much more severely than us. And with $30 trillion of debt that our government has, I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to keep the interest rates up, just to be honest. I'm not going to go through the review because we've kind of covered everything and I'm running up on my time. But, if you want to find some more information about me, about mobile home park investing, I do have quite a bit of videos out there on my channel on YouTube, which is called Real Estate Fundamentals with Brant Phillips. I have some case studies. I've got some walkthroughs of some properties, things like that. And last but not least, here's my contact information. If you want to reach out to me, I do respond to each and every email. So you can email me here, or you can hit that little QR code with your phone. If you are interested in possibly investing in one of my deals, you can send your information there. We will reach out. But I think I'm just about out of time. Sorry I had to go so fast. Like I said, check out one of my videos or hit me up. I'll be glad to share more information to help you consider investing in mobile home parks in 2023, if that's something that's on your radar. So that's it. Thank you very much, guys. Y'all have a great rest of the event.